Welcome to Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. Thanks to Tone for tuning in. I'm Demi Michelle Schwartz, and I'm thrilled you're joining me on my songwriting journey. So kick back and relax, don't fall flat, and remember, stay right on track. Hello, welcome back to Right on Track. I am delighted because joining me on the show today is Jenna Kellogg. Hey, Jenna.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good.
I'm
so excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to have you. We have a fantastic chat planned for today. I absolutely love how you debuted as an artist with both an original and a cover song. That's really unique. So I can't wait to chat about both of these songs soon. But first, can you please share with the listeners a little about yourself and your journey as a songwriter so far?
Okay, well, music kind of is something that I was born into because my father was a musician. He wasn't a singer, but he was a drummer and he played instruments. And I was raised on classic rock and all those things. And my mom, she loved country and just like old soul kind of songs and music from way back when. And so I was raised on that stuff. And then when I was a kid, I really got into pop music because being a 90s kid, that's what was really popular at the time. And so like I knew then that I wanted to do music and do that. And I also had a major love for acting and just everything in the entertainment industry. Like it was my passion my whole life. And so um getting there has definitely been a journey. So yeah, I originally came from San Francisco, California, and then when I was a kid, I moved to Tennessee because my mom's job transferred me. And so my first like real experience with music, I was in choir in high school, but my first real experience with music was when I was 19 years old. I went to Nashville and I recorded a 4-song demo with a man named Andy Anderson. And that was the first like real experience I had. Unfortunately, nothing happened with those songs, but uh, yeah, that's just kind of where it started. And so that's kind of where I started with music and songwriting. And songwriting has also been a huge learning process as well. So
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I love how you did those few songs, but nothing happened to them. I had a similar experience where I basically recorded a whole album's worth of songs in demo form with a producer, and I ended up not releasing them because the producer just like wasn't a good fit for me, and I ended up changing. And the producer I'm with now, I've worked with ever since I started releasing music. But I think like I don't view that as a lost opportunity because it was definitely a learning experience. I grew as a songwriter, as an artist, discovered my sound more through getting those first round of songs out. And so I don't think that should be viewed as, oh no, there was a bad experience. No, you definitely got through that, and now look at you now
mhm.
releasing music.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely learn. I mean, I don't look at my experience as a failure because every experience, even if something doesn't work out, it is an experience. It's a learning experience and it kind of builds character either way, whether you're successful with it or not. And you just kind of learn more about yourself in the process. And that's kind of how you grow. I mean, not just with music, but with anything. So, um, yeah, I mean, I definitely loved having that experience, even though nothing happened with those songs. And, it's like, it's not about winning all the time. It's about, just the journey of getting there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that so much. And as an artist, we always face these obstacles in the music, in the business, in our own personal lives. And so I think that recognizing that these experiences that may not work out, they're not failures, they're just learning experiences. And when
Mhm.
you go through those and you continue down this journey, you're just learning along the way and growing. And I think that's something that will never stop. That's part of the experience.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. I agree.
So, switching into your songwriting process, so when you started to dive into writing and getting to the point now where you released your first original song, what was that development process like for you? And how would you describe your songwriting process as a whole?
My songwriting process has been very interesting. So I'm just going to be like very honest. I'm not the best songwriter. Songwriting to me can be very stressful, and just like it's very time consuming. I'm sure, as you know, and most songwriters know, it is time consuming and it can be stressful. And um, you want something to be good. Of course, like I said, it's not always about being successful, but of course, when you're writing it, you of course have that hope that it is successful. It's like, oh, like, well, what if people can relate to this, or what if they can't relate to it? Um, are they even going to like it or listen to it, or are they just going to switch to something else? It's like, you still want that success and for people to like it. And also, I'm very hard on myself too. So it's like when I am my own worst critic. So when I write things and I listen to things, it's kind of like, I don't know if I like this anymore. You know what I mean? It's like my mind just kind of changes back and forth. So it's very stressful. But with my original song that I put out called The Same Way, I was working with a producer in Bristol, Tennessee. His name's Matt Smile. He owns his own studio and he's been doing music for many, many years. And he sings, songwrites, plays instruments, just engineers all of his own stuff. I mean, he does it all basically. And he was really great with helping me as far as the music and the songwriting and all that stuff goes. It's always easier for me when I have other people that I'm working with and when they contribute their ideas and, we just work together kind of like as a team on the song. I mean, that helps a lot as far as the songwriting process goes. And so, yeah, he was a great person to work with. And I know there's lots of other great producers out there that um, I could work with that would basically just like help so much with my songwriting, and not just the songwriting, but the music and just the whole process of a project, basically. So, yeah, I'm still learning on the whole songwriting thing. I'm still kind of just, it's a working progress.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I completely resonated with what you were saying about the stress factor and writing a song and not knowing if it's good enough, worrying if people will like it. Like, I've definitely been there, and I'm on, I don't even know how many singles at this point. I released a full album and an EP, other singles, and I'm working on my new album right now. The lead
Mhm.
single of the album comes out February 29th. So I've been through all of this multiple times, so I know how it feels. But I think what you said about having other people really, really helps a lot, especially with a producer. Like, I write all of my songs by myself, but I fully realize them and see them come to life when I'm in the studio working with my producer. And so I think it's really great when you can have somebody who you can share that music creation process with, whether that's with the co-writing with the song itself or with the music production. Because when you have somebody else working on something with you, you kind of get the excitement and the reassurance and the validation that what you're creating is good because
Mhm.
they're enjoying it and they're having a good time creating with you, and their name is on it too. And so this is something that you guys can kind of show off together, your combined work and your combined ideas, but it can definitely be stressful. So one more question with the songwriting before we shift into the song itself. Would you consider yourself to be more of a lyricist, or do you enjoy the musical aspect more?
I guess I like the musical aspect more. I mean, I'm with like lyrics and stuff. I love writing lyrics and contributing my lyrics, but I think I'm more of like the uh, musical aspect part of it. Um, yeah, that's kind of more what I'm leaning towards. Yeah, I guess.
That's fabulous. I love that so much. So,
Hmm.
speaking about the song, so obviously you've been writing for a very long time, and then you finally made the decision to record a song that you were going to release. So, what was that decision process like? Why was this song the one that made you go, I want to become a recording artist and start releasing my music?
Well, after my experience in Nashville, doing that first demo, honestly, like that was back in 2010. I was like 19 at the time, and at that time I was very like naive as far as releasing music goes. I had no idea about DistroKid or anything like that. And in 2010, social media wasn't a thing like it is now. Um, Instagram, I don't think was even a thing yet. There wasn't TikTok. There wasn't anything like that. I mean, there was, I mean, a couple of different social media sites, but I had no idea how to release like a single or anything like that. Definitely not on my own. See, now there's DistroKid, which I released the songs on, and so I spent years like, and my demo that I recorded was just like on like a CD. It wasn't like even uh, like what's it like a MP3. So it's like I had to make copies, and then finally Andy sent me the MP3s, and I sent them out to different people, so many different people, but like I said, that like it just wasn't successful. So I got discouraged after that, and so I spent um, a few years just doing different things, like focusing on acting, and because that's another huge passion of mine is acting, and I was just trying to find different things to do because honestly, I almost gave up on the music industry because nothing was happening, and like the older I was getting, the more disheartening it was. So I was kind of lost for a while, and then I had like a couple of years ago, I had like an epiphany where I just decided, maybe I should give it one more shot just to see what happens. And so, like, I called around several different people, and I finally found Matt in Bristol, which is pretty close to where I live. And so, when I started working with Matt, Matt was kind of like the brains of the operation, like, because he has done this with so many different artists. And like I said, social media and everything is completely different now. It's a whole new world. So he knew about DistroKid, and he knew about different ways to actually release music once we were done with the songs. And he helped me with all of that. And he goes, through this, like it's going to be on TikTok, it's going to be on Instagram, Facebook. People can use your music for their videos, and also Spotify. It's going to be on Spotify. It's going to do this, like, and it's all just through DistroKid. So that's what we did, and that's how we released the songs. And so, because I had no idea how to do any of that, honestly. So yeah, Matt kind of helped me. And of course, with the two songs that we recorded, the cover and then the original, uh, I realized that, these are actually pretty good. Like, I mean, they're not, I don't know if they're like radio material, but they're good enough to release. These are songs that I would be completely okay being out in the world for people to listen to.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he helped me with all of that, and that's when I thought, okay, yeah, this is it. Um, as long as he's helping me with all of that, it's completely cool to release these songs, and that's kind of how that happened.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm so happy that you got to a place of feeling confident in releasing the
Hmm.
songs, or you're confident in the quality and sharing that with the world. So now I want to dive deeper into each song. So with the original, The Same Way, what is the inspiration behind this?
The Same Way is basically a story that I think a lot of people can relate to. It's basically about liking somebody a lot, and that they don't really feel the same way about you, though. Maybe it's, different experiences that I've had where, I've liked someone, but they didn't feel the same way, or maybe they were just taken, or the timing wasn't right. And, that's basically what the meaning of that song is. And so, yeah. I think a lot of people could relate to that.
Yep, I can.
Yeah. Yes, there's a lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there was something you mentioned earlier that I thought was super interesting. So you did say that you also have a passion for acting. And I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but when I'm in the studio doing vocals, especially, even if I'm not in the same mental space that I was when I wrote the song, it's important for me to contribute or to convey that emotion I felt while writing the song, while I was recording it to capture the authentic emotion, which definitely requires some acting and kind of putting myself in the shoes of my past self when I wrote the song. So for you, did you have a similar experience where when you were recording, you were trying to channel those emotions and that kind of confusion with this person not feeling the same way when you were doing the vocal to kind of convey that emotion in the song?
Yeah, I actually like when I was recording the same way, like I wasn't going through it right then, but I had wrote down those feelings before, like when it did happen, and I just kind of kept it. Like I have a little notebook that I write stuff down in, and so like I kept it for a long time because Matt asked me, he goes, "Do you have anything that you've written from just before, from like a few years ago, or whatever it is, like maybe we could use those that writing as inspiration." So yeah, I had gone through it before, a couple of years before, but when I was recording it, like you kind of can't help but kind of go back to those feelings
Yeah,
when they kind of resurface.
yeah,
And so yeah, it's kind of like revisiting your past, like reminiscing almost. And so um that's just kind of like how I like went into the emotion when I was recording the song, because acting, it is all about emotion, and sometimes you find things to draw from even when you're just acting, from past experiences, and that can kind of help bring out the feeling of the song, and you can kind of make it more relatable that way. And so yeah, that's kind of how I did it at that time when I was recording it.
yeah. I'm really happy you brought up the relatability because I think with music, yes, the lyrics can be impactful and the music can create emotion, but I think the authenticity of the emotion and the way the artist is singing the song really creates impact. And so I completely agree with your point about you kind of can't avoid those emotions from resurfacing. They kind of do by themselves, but I think it's really important to let those emotions just be there instead of trying to lock them up, because if you lock them up then you're not going to have that genuine vocal performance. And so I really like how you had what you wrote down and then when you were recording it kind of resurfaced and you let that flow in order to deliver that genuine performance.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you kind of have to do that with a lot of songwriting, I think. Even though you're not going through something like right then when you're recording it, you do kind of have to let the old emotions come back and just kind of flow through you, because that's going to help a lot when you're recording it.
Yeah, absolutely. So now let's talk about the Billie Eilish cover. So why did you select to do a cover in the first place before we dive into this one specifically?
Oh man. Okay, so I can go on and on about Billie Eilish. I love her so much. She's one of my favorite artists ever. I just like genuinely love her music, because it's very different from anything else. It's not like pop really, but it's not really rock. I mean, I don't really know what genre she is. Maybe it's more of an alternative pop, but anyways, like her songs are really cool, and I love her story as well, like her and her brother Phineas, and how they just like work together as a team. He's basically like the songwriter and the producer, and then she is like the performer. I mean, she writes songs too, of course, but it's just like their whole creative process is so cool. And I just like love her so much. And Lovely, the cover song I did, I just loved that song. I remember I was on a road trip to the beach one day, and then it came on the radio, and I was like, what's the name of this song? And my niece was with me, and she goes, "Oh, it's called Lovely." And so I immediately got on iTunes and Spotify and, downloaded it. So, yeah, I just started listening to it constantly along with her other music. And so I thought, I'm going to try doing a cover of this because I think this song is just so beautiful. It's like a beautiful ballad. And yeah, that's just what I wanted to do with that. And that's kind of how that came up.
I love that so much, and I also really like how you did a cover of an artist you absolutely love. I think doing cover songs really only works if you have some kind of connection to the song itself or the artist, because just picking a random song just to do a cover, I don't think holds a lot of authenticity, but you clearly love Billie Eilish, so I think
Yeah.
it was a good point for you to do that. And I had a similar thing where I love Kelsey Ballerini, she's a country artist, and I did a cover of her song Homecoming Queen, which made me cry the first time I heard it, and it just became like one of my all-time favorite songs, and so it was genuine for me to do that one. And so I think it's really great how you chose a song that meant so much to you, but also being an artist yourself, when you went to do that cover, how did you bring your own flavor of Jenna Kellogg to that cover so it wasn't straight like Billie Eilish?
My own flavor. Like, well, I didn't wanna change the song, like, too much. I mean, of course, like, I mean, it is a cover, so it's not gonna sound exactly like the artist, and I didn't want it to. I kinda did want it to have, like, my own, style or flavor to it, but Matt and I, like, we basically, like, did like our own like little thing with the song. Like when you listen to it, like you can hear my voice. It's kind of like has like a really cool echo almost, kind of like when you listen to it. And it's just like kind of really cool how Matt did that with my voice. And so I didn't want to copy this song to make it seem like, oh, I'm trying to be her. No, like I wanted it to sound like me, but be like a little bit different from the original song, even though it is a cover song. So yeah, I just basically worked with Matt on that one, and he was really good about. He was really helpful with that as well.
Yeah,
Matt's
that's
the best
fantastic.
producer. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And it sounds like you really found somebody who was able to work with you in a way that kept your vision for your original and also helped you take this one and make it your own.
Right. Yeah. I am really lucky I found him and him being so close too. Nashville is kind of a little bit of a drive for me. So it's like it was just so easy with him. Like I could just like easily go to his studio and work with him, and it was just like the best partnership at that time. I think. Yeah, he was the best.
Yeah, I love how you said that because I think that sometimes songwriters and artists, when they're getting started, they feel like they have to have Nashville musicians and Nashville producers. And if there are artists out there, there are so many that do that. That's perfectly fine if that's what you want to do. And if you live in Nashville and have the ability to do that. But I truly think there are so many talented musicians and producers everywhere. Like I live in Pittsburgh and I record with my producer in Pittsburgh. And I don't think he's any inferior to Nashville producers just because he's not in Nashville. And your producer isn't inferior just because he's not in Nashville. I think that
Right.
sometimes like we have this idea that people think like, oh, if you're not recording in Nashville, you're not as good, which is a backwards opinion, but I think there are so many talented people, and you perfectly stated it was a great partnership. You felt comfortable with him, you connected with him, and when you're creating music and definitely original music, when it's authentic to you, you absolutely need to be working with somebody that makes you feel comfortable, or else that music isn't going to turn out. And so I've always said working with the people who you connect with and can build those genuine relationships with rather than working with somebody just because of who their name is. Because if there's no chemistry there, then you're
Mhm.
not going
Right.
to have a good outcome.
Exactly. Actually, that like I love Nashville. Nashville is one of my favorite cities ever. It's a great place. I love it. However, I've had experiences before I met Matt where like I would like talk to somebody on the phone or like I would email like a producer back and forth, someone that was, known, and those experiences were not good because, at the time I was on a budget. I didn't have a lot of money to record or really work with someone. And in Nashville, like they basically charge an arm and a leg to do a song and or a single or whatever it is, or an EP. And, like the whole package. I mean, you're talking 10K or higher. And at that time, I was not in the position to spend that. And so not only that, but I would have to travel to Nashville, and people that I spoke to or about it were not very friendly or on the same page as me. It's like they kind of think they're, superior because of who they are and because they're big time in Nashville. And, if they're successful, that's great. But, I think it's also important to uh, treat everyone with respect and kind of be um, like, yeah, just respectful to everybody and be a little bit more sensitive to someone's situation. So yeah, it's like you can have like an amazing artist, but may not have the budget or anything like that to do music, but they're amazing artists. So if you can work with that person, even if it is just a single, yeah, just work with them, and then the rest will be like so much easier. And yeah, that's kind of like how I feel about it, because I've had good experiences with people and I've had bad experiences with people. And like I said, I love Nashville. I'm not shaming Nashville in any way, but sometimes finding the right person to work with is so important, and it doesn't really matter where you are as long as they're willing to help you and work with you and your situation and be completely cool about it. And Matt did that for me.
Yeah, and look at Billie Eilish. She works with her brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love that. Like me and Matt were even talking about that. It's like, they recorded their first album in their house. And yeah, they didn't have a studio. They didn't have any of that stuff. In fact, Billy even said in an interview I watched, she doesn't like recording in big studios. She would much rather record like in her brother's house or her house. And so, because yeah, it's just her and him in there, and they've got all the equipment and stuff, and the talent and the intelligence to do all of that. So it's so cool, like their situation, because they, in the beginning, the very beginning, they didn't have a lot to spend either. So they were very smart about it. Um, and I love that.
Yeah, and look how successful both of them are now. And so I
Yeah.
think they're just a really good example of it's the people you're working with, not necessarily where you're working with them.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So, speaking of your music with these two singles out, do you have any plans for future singles or possibly an EP or album?
I do. I've been writing some stuff in my notebook. I would love to work with Matt again, or any other producer that might be interested. I'm always willing to, talk to people. I'm very open about um, anything. Like even if someone wanted to do a collaboration with me, like a duet or something like that, I'm very open to that. And so, hopefully, if they're listening, I'm available. But yeah, so yeah, I would love to like do more of that, and maybe like more singles or an EP, and maybe even a music video or something like that that can push my music out further and so more people can see it. Yeah, like on YouTube or something like that. I mean, I would love to do more as far as that goes. But like I said, I just have to find the right person, and um, the timing has to be good. And, there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really love the extra kind of content. I've never done a full blown music video before. That's like on my wish list. But those run very pricey too, like depending on who you're working with and the production of it. But I do things myself where I'll like film acoustic videos, and like I do studio vlogs. So every time I record, I film in the studio and then put vlogs together. I also do behind the lyrics videos where I like share on YouTube. the inspiration behind my songs and stuff like that. So there's other things that you can do on your own that you can
Mhm.
share for content across the platforms. And I really enjoy doing that because there's a lot more we can do as artists other than just working on the songs.
Yeah, exactly. There is a lot that you can do, like with content now. There's lots of stuff you can share on social media, and I know exactly what you're talking about. My goal, however, see, like in this is just kind of what I think about, like in my head. Like a lot of artists who are signed, like with record labels or things like that. I mean, they're not paying for their music videos like the label is. So my goal is to maybe sign with someone that's great, like an entertainment company that can kind of help me with all of that. Um, because when you're doing all of that on your own, I mean, it's not impossible, but it is expensive and it is kind of very hard to do that on your own. So my goal is to maybe sign with a great company that can like help me with getting with good producers and that can help me make great music and just basically like do a whole production because that's what my goal is for future reference and future things.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm wishing you the best of luck with that. And to wrap things up, what is one piece of advice you would like to share with any songwriters listening?
Basically, this is gonna sound cliche, but basically keep trying and don't give up. It is a journey and it is a process. Nothing happens overnight. I've been doing this for many years and trying for so many years, and it's going to take a lot. And yes, there is a lot of other people doing the same thing. There's a lot of competition, but if you keep going and keep trying, you'll eventually get to where you want to be. Um, even if it's not like right when you want it to happen, it will eventually happen.
Perfect. What a beautiful piece of advice. Jenna, it was a
Yeah.
joy having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you please share with everybody where they can find you online and check out your music?
Yes. My Instagram and TikTok is at I am Jenna Kellogg. And you can listen to my songs on iTunes, Spotify, and also Instagram and TikTok as well.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much again for joining me. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed this chat with Jenna. And of course, until next time, stay
Stay
right
right
on
on
track.
track.